Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the issues you should think about before you decide to sue someone. Lawsuits can be complicated, costly, and time-consuming, so it is essential to be fully informed before you decide to sue someone. The first thing to consider is the nature of your claim. Is it a breach of contract? Is it personal injury, defamation, or something else? Different types of claims have different elements. Unless you want to spend a few days at the library reading law books, it is best to consult a lawyer on whether you have a valid claim. Understanding the specifics of your claim will help you assess the strength and viability of the claim. The second thing you should consider is the evidence you have. Do you have solid documentation? Do you have solid witnesses or other forms of proof to support your case? The burden of proof lies with the plaintiff. That means if you want to sue someone, you have the obligation to prove it with evidence. So it's critical to gather and organize all relevant evidence you have. For example, although verbal contracts are valid, you may not have a high chance of winning if you do not have evidence pointing to the existence of such a verbal contract. So gather your evidence by hunting for all records, email, and other pertinent documents, for example, WhatsApp text messages, this, that. The stronger your evidence, the better your chances in court. Third issue to think about, the statute of limitations. Every claim has a statute of limitations, which is a deadline by which you have to file the lawsuit. Missing this deadline can mean losing your right to sue. Check the statute of limitations for your specific claim in your jurisdiction to ensure you are within the allowed time frame. For example, in the Small Claims Court of Singapore, there is a 2-year limitation period. So you must sue the person within 2 years of suffering the injury or the breach of contract. If you are suing in the state courts or the High Court of Singapore for a contractual or tort claim, the limitation period is 6 years. The fourth issue that you have to consider is legal costs. Lawsuits can be expensive. Consider the legal fees, court fees, and other miscellaneous expenses, for example, interpreters. You should also consider the possibility of losing a case, because if you lose, you will most likely have to pay part of the defendant's legal fees. It is essential to weigh these potential costs against the benefits of winning the case. You should next think about the time and stress you will have to go through. Lawsuits can take a long time to resolve and can be very, very stressful. Consider whether you are prepared for the emotional and the time commitment involved in a lawsuit. The process can be lengthy with numerous court hearings, numerous court applications, applications which the defendant's lawyer will deliberately take out. They will take out multiple applications to wear you down, to weaken your resolve to continue with the lawsuit. The most important thing to consider before you start a lawsuit is the defendant's ability to pay. Winning a lawsuit is one thing, but collecting the judgment is another thing. Money doesn't drop from the sky. The court will not hand you a check after you win. It is the defendant who has to pay you if you win. And if the defendant has no property, no house, no assets, and has only $1,000 in the bank, then you would have wasted hundreds or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, and then you get nothing other than bankrupting him, of course, and then you also get nothing. Therefore, always try to check whether the defendant has the money to pay a judgment. Do property searches on his address to see if he's the owner of the property that he's living in. If you know his friends, ask around whether he has assets, for example, stocks, motor vehicles to seize to seize and pay you in the event that you do win the lawsuit. Another issue to consider is potential counterclaims, because the defendant might file counterclaims against you. Evaluate the risks and potential impact of such counterclaims on your position. Counterclaims are a frequent tactic used by defendants when they get sued. So it's important to be prepared for any legal maneuvers the defendant might employ. Next, consider the impact of a lawsuit on your personal and business relationships. Lawsuits can strain or destroy relationships. So it's important to consider whether the dispute is worth the potential cost. As a lawyer, I've seen families destroyed. business relationships destroyed. For example, A sues B, but then it destroys relationships with C, D, E, F, G because, you know, they all do business together. I've even seen wives divorce their husbands because the husband's personality completely changes or he goes on a drinking binge due to the stress from the lawsuit. In conclusion, suing someone is a major decision with significant implications. By carefully considering these factors and seeking professional legal advice, you can make an informed decision about whether to proceed with a lawsuit. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more legal insight. As always, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. See you in the next video.